What's up, everyone? This is Jay High from Couch and Keyboard, and I just want to do a little bit of a kind of synopsis of the second Nuzlocke Invitational. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun event, not just the tournament portion, but the entire Nuzlocke itself. I watched I was mainly a VOD watcher just because you can kind of watch it 1.5 speed, double speed, that kind of stuff. But I watched probably half the runs start to finish. I think I watched Atrioc, Frost Prime, Bruce, and yeah, probably those three. I think I saw Tina Kittens as well. I come from Smash, so I knew about like Atrioc from Melee, Ned from Ultimate, and also I think Burrito, one of my favorite Nuzlockers, and also Frost Prime I thought was hilarious, and Flygon also one of my favorite YouTubers as well. So a really good mix of people, and I would see the highlights of some other stuff, and yeah, I saw the first one. I also a big Ludwig viewer, so I was kind of lasered in on him, and he had an amazingly entertaining Nuzlocke portion, and that's just something that I began doing, and I'll probably have a video up now of me playing a Nuzlocke. I'm starting out. I've done a little bit of Black Kaizo, mainly just doing vanilla games, but either way, let's kind of go into some details about what happened and whether it was good or bad. Because I think it was a success. I understand that, I think merch sales went pretty well. Viewership, I think, was a little bit lower than what they were hoping, but this weekend was crazy. I mean, you had big thing with streamer games, which some of it, like Foolish was in the previous streamer game, so there's like kind of a shared audience there, and he did commit to this, which was nice. But you also have like Esports World Cup. I know that was kind of something that was involved with some other stuff, and then there's also Gommel, a Toronto Smash tournament. So inevitably, just kind of some of those crossovers there maybe made it to where I think I saw like 24K Twitch viewers, and then like a few thousand on YouTube. Well, like that's pretty good. I think either way, the sponsors aren't going to be too upset. And also, this becomes like a big YouTube thing. I think that Nuzlocking, like, while I've been more aware of it streamed, I think it is just more of a YouTube VOD, like edited. That's how it's enjoyed mainly. But yeah, and so I think that for the bracket itself, I think it was fine. I definitely prefer the Nuzlocke portion to the VGC portion, but as a TO, tournament organizer, I think I have a little bit more expertise surrounding the tournament itself. So I think that the seeding was okay. I thought it was going to be skewed in the top part to where Atrioc, Frostbite, Tomo, and Bruce Green were all in the top four, and then Foolish, Astral Spiff, K Katamina, and Tina Kitten were in the bottom four. I thought that the top half was going to do very well, and that there would be like kind of a like, oh, like there's going to be a lot of these players higher up, but it was actually Tina and Myung in the grands, and so it didn't necessarily have that same effect. I think the way they arranged it was based off of finishing time, but they didn't do it like whoever finished first place, whoever finished last. It was like Atrioc and Tubbo, so it was like 1 and 3. Because the order of finishing was Atrioc, Frost Prime, Tubbo, Bruce, Foolish, Astral Spiff, Katamina, and Tina, in that order. And so it was kind of like they did like 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, 7, 6, 8. Usually the seeding goes 1, 8, 2, 7, 3, 6, 4, 5. So you'd have like Atrioc. I guess Atrioc, Tina Kitten would have been round 1, which would have been kind of tough. Either way, I feel like it's fine if you seed it a little bit. If you do like a broad like kind of idea, which it's hard to kind of be merit based. I feel like you probably put Myung high, just because she has a lot of stuff. If you want to kind of look at it like, okay, Because I think like if Tubbo and Astral Spiff just randomly are against each other round one, like it kind of made sense they were the bottom two, you know. So either way, I like doing brackets. I think it's good, but it can be hard to kind of see this, even with double elim. It's better than single. I like that they did double elim more than they than if they did like, let's say, round robin pools. Because I like round robin in some ways, but and if you're going to eliminate based off of round robin pools, you can get tiebreakers and tie, like you can get ties and weird tiebreaker situations. Kind of weird. But yeah, I think the way it was ran was fine. I think that you should do winners finals before loser semis. So Atrioc and Myung, or excuse me, Atrioc and Tina should have played before Bruce and Myung. Just because you give the loser semis people more time to prepare their match. Then you give whoever comes down from the loser of the winners finals match has a little bit more time as well. I think that on paper you may have not the most prepared matchups if you do it loser semis before winners finals, but that's just nitpicky. I think it's ultimately fine, and it's not like they're surprised by these matchups. They have extensive notes. Speaking of, I think that having it be to where it is a no mid-set coaching, to where coaches can only talk to them in between sets, I kind of like that. I think it's how Smash does it. Some other games will do it to where you can like talk in between games of the set. I feel like it's like you should let the players play, because sometimes that coaching can like have a huge effect on the outcome, and I would rather see them adapt. I would rather see them like try and make those decisions in a different way. I'm not huge on VGC having 4. I understand that you can kind of consolidate and you can kind of bluff who you're going to take, and you can have potentially 2 different parts of your team. But I feel like Pokemon, it thrives on having, all the champions have 6 Mons. I feel like it's cool to have 6. That's more of a problem with VGC. It makes sense that they chose to do that. I don't know. I feel like doing a singles, like a Smogon style 6v6, I think that'd be a cool idea too. I understand that doubles has a little bit more in-depth strategy and all that, to where like one single mon that's broken can kind of get, you're not just going to auto lose. But I think that singles is also a little bit more complicated than people will suggest. I think sometimes they think it's just mashy and you just click whatever to win, but it's not quite that. Either way, I do think it was a pretty good arrangement. Let's talk about the ROM itself, which I would love to play those ROMs. It's unfortunate that they're not going to be able to release them, just due to copyright and all that. They don't want to get piss off Nintendo, which is so frustrating, man. I mean, between Smash and Pokemon, like, come on, man. Like, whatever. I'm not gonna get into that. But so in the games itself for the Nuzlocke portion, the opponents were randomized, the encounters were randomized, movesets, abilities, all that kind of stuff. Like, there was generally some idea. It wasn't like types were changed or anything like that. But it was pretty random, and I do think that is better. While I'm not a huge fan of randomizers, I think that like I don't know, sometimes you can get kind of screwed, and what are you gonna do? I think we saw in the 8 players from last year, the in-game stuff, that you can still have lines for pre-planned fights, but part of it is being able to adapt to things that you're not aware of, and you have to learn on the fly. I think that is exciting. I think it can help with fundamentals. I think that it makes sense, because a coach just doesn't give you a line, here, do this. Like, yeah, okay, do this unless you see a, click dragon energy until you see a fairy type, like that, like classic stuff like that. And I think that you could probably tweak it a little bit to where it's a little bit less random. I think Renglade Platinum has multiple different options for Elite Fours. I think like Flint or something like that has like multiple potential teams. Maybe I'm thinking of a different version of Platinum, but I'm pretty sure. And it's like you have to adapt to and figure out which specific team it is. It has the same mons, but like the moves and whatever, or maybe a couple different mons. I don't know. But like you have to figure out which one it's going to be, and you have to plan for multiple. I think that would be a neat compromise in terms of kind of bringing back the randomness. But yeah, and I feel like it's like you have more creativity. Like if you just got, the same old thing, you get a normal Goldango, a normal Dragapult, like it's gonna turn into a lot of what you already see. And I think that because we have such creativity here, we have the Raikus, the Regigigas, this, all these kinds of things that you don't are Slacking, a big example as well. I think that it is interesting, and there's certainly some things that are broken, but I think that is like usually you get at least one broken thing, and you can kind of get some other stuff that's passable, and you can still compete. Perfect information was something that they mentioned, to where it's like you don't have to guess about IVs or stats or whatever. It is all fully there. And I think that's cool. I felt like it was a Nuzlocke way of doing a tournament, because you can plan lines where it's like, okay, I know this does this with like, okay, I know, like, what was it? The life orb. It was some like a Bulking Wake used a ghost type move, Helping Hand boosted, life orb boosted, and it barely didn't kill the Latios. And it's like, oh, we knew that was a range. And it's like, that's crazy. Like, that's cool. It's cool to know that, like, hey, because no one in their right mind is going to think, oh, I should stay in here. But it's like, look, if you understand that it's a tough spot, you risk that and you can succeed from it. And that's what happened. I think it's cool to have those, like, Nuzlocke kind of things. Because, like, obviously you have, Manat is, very good VGC player, and Smokin and all that kind of stuff, like really good strategic mind, but most of these coaches are mainly Nuzlockers. So instead of having it to where they're not going to offer the same expertise that a Wolfie or a Cybertron may, and so I think that having the ability to it simplifies it for coaching purposes, and I think it allows for more in-depth planning, which I think is cool. I think that one thing that's cool is that, like, we've seen it be a pretty... Obviously, it was an invitational, so it's not just random. But, like, in terms of, like, there's a decent amount of diversity in terms of, like, especially, like for women. I think that having back-to-back women winners and then also a second woman in the top 3 both years, that's pretty cool. I feel like you don't see it that often. Like you might see some to where like fighting games is probably the best example. You have Melee or Guilty Gear Strive or something like that, like to where you see some women involved in the upper echelon of the game. Shoutouts to the French sisters that just won double Sagamo, but you don't see it very often. And theoretically, esports to where it's like you don't need to have, like, yeah, I know that they have like sometimes tertiary leagues for like Valorant and stuff with women, and like Game Changers, I think was what it was called. And it's like, oh, women don't, there's no disadvantage. I thought. And that's like kind of the chud way of talking about it, but it's like to get more accessibility. I think this is proving accessibility. I mean, we see Fuslie doing pretty good in a lot of these like regional and international tournaments, and so I think that like this can really inspire people to get involved. It seems like they're a little bit more inspired to get into tournaments and Nuzlocks, and it's like I don't think Pichao is going to be sad by that necessarily. Although I think that like he would probably prefer it be Nuzlocke, just kind of like he wants to have more people get involved. The Jaden and the Ludwigs and the odd ones outs and the small ants of the worlds, the big streamers dipping their toes into Nuzlocke, like all on their own, I think have been fantastic. keep him in business too with the reviews and whatnot. But like, it's not just about like fishing for that. I think it's like it's just trying to show appreciation for the community and to get more people involved in it. And like, hey, if it goes to Hafu with chess, to where she did it so much that she's like, okay, I never want to do this again. That's on them. You tried and you had a good event, and you can move on. But like, I think it's having like these kind of like more crossover between communities and people that are opening up, instead of like either they're intimidated by Pokemon or they think it's like juvenile and not cool, and it's like showing the middle ground there. I think that's awesome. And yeah, I think that in terms of like the teams themselves, I know that it was like like not really understood, but like people discovered that Young's team was very, very solid. And also, obviously, Aatrox had those strong legendaries and then pretty good support and like all this kinds of stuff. But like even Tina was able to have like some pretty interesting stuff. And I felt like most of the teams were pretty fair. Tubbo's felt like the worst by far, but he also lost like his best mon in the Ray fight. So it's like it kind of felt fair because of a mistake he made in the game. And I think it's cool to see players, like it's close enough to where they're able to adapt, and you saw different decisions being made, like some of the stuff with the Final Gambit shenanigans with Tina, like to where it was it caused the pop bomb to go onto the Rocky Helmet Corviknight. Like that was really interesting, and I think that like being able to kind of use multiple different avenues in a perfect information, like you're still able to be creative in that. It's not just a solved game at that point. I think that's really cool. There was a lot of luck, and I'm someone to where it's like Smash is very little luck. You might have like a like Peach, Game & Watch, or Luigi, but like generally there's very little luck involved. There's like you take chances and you kind of like there's coin flip situations, but it's not necessarily random. There's a lot of randomness in Pokemon, and it's like, you know what? Okay, it happens. And while that can be frustrating, it can also be like a little bit more like allow cope. Like I don't know if people kind of this argument where it's like reason why people play League and all these other team games, they can blame their teammates and just never take responsibility. And it's like, oh, you can just blame the luck. And it's like, well, I don't necessarily think that it's like you have to have kind of that toxic like permission to where it's like, oh, you need to have your game allow for toxicity. Like, I don't know about that, but I think it also can lead to unpredictable moments, like as a spectator, where it's like I did not expect that. I mean, like I just mentioned the Latios living that and other stuff. To where, I mean, what was it? The extreme speed didn't kill the red someone from one of the girls' teams where they live on like 5 HP or something, and it's like that's exciting. It's a role to win, and so you're kind of risking stuff, and that's cool. I also like that I mentioned chess earlier, and chess is perfect information, but it's very much like rigid, and like I think because of the turn taking, it's not based on speed or anything. Like you can't really cheat in Pokemon. Like, yeah, I guess you could kind of have some help there, but it's like if you don't know what your opponent's gonna do at the same turn, then there's no perfect way. Like yeah, there's some lines that'll optimize it, but it was pretty well. Like it allowed for adaptation. It wasn't a full on just like, oh, press this button and you automatically win, which I think is helpful for the competition, but also not like not too far in the other direction for the viewership. It only had like pretty established streamers. Like you had some in the 100 200 400 views, some in 1,000 views. I feel like an open bracket version of this would also be pretty interesting. Kind of inspires me. Maybe I'll do a singles version. Maybe get some kind of randomizer for a vanilla game, and have it be more open bracket themed. maybe over Showdown to not require Scarlet or Violet, you know, kind of more accessible that way. That's just an idea that I had personally. But even if I don't do that, I do really like how, like, it really is such a celebration. Like it wasn't, people weren't that bummed when they lost. It was like, okay, I did this journey, came out here, like the vibes were really good. Like with the sleek costumes, and you know, like the commentary was fun, but also like there was a lot of in-depth stuff while keeping the humor. I really like Burrito and Manat on commentary. I think they really added a lot to kind of the more analytical side, while also being, you know, humorous streamers themselves. And yeah, and elephant in the room, the finishing early, lack of incentive. I definitely think they're trying to adjust more. It seemed like, because I mean, trying to catch up to all those runs on that Saturday, when 6 people did their runs, it was hard to keep up with, and I watched all of them eventually, but it took me till, like, you know, halfway through the next day to catch up. And so I understand that, like, trying to incentivize people to do it a little bit earlier would be helpful. But I mean, everyone finished it. There were some close calls, but no one had a rental team again, which I don't think you should want a rental team. I think it's kind of more of, like, it'd be embarrassing to travel and then have the rental team. But yeah, no, I really like this. I like that they do it in person. I really value in-person stuff, but that's a big, that's likely a loss leader. So I think that if there's concerns about doing it again, I think you can just do it online, and it would still be good. Because, like, again, I mainly care about the Nuzlocke portion, and that's already online. But I do like the in-person stuff, and like there's, you know, better relationships formed by people when they're face to face and all that kind of stuff, and it's a cool production. Shout out to Point Grow with the kind of the more production side of things, and yeah, no, I think that he's like they clearly have something great going on, and I think that, you know, they did 8 unique streamers, had mostly new coaches. I think you might start to run dry in the next few years, but like you can still do a lot of great stuff. I think this template is great. You don't have to change that much. You can just tweak a little bit of the rules, and it keeps it fresh. I mean, like, even you could run the same exact teams and players, and it'd be a different tournament just because of the randomness of encounters and all those kinds of stuff, and decisions and adaptations. Like, I really think that this could happen. Like, you could do this 4 times a year. Like you could do it a ton. I mean, maybe it gets stale at some point, but I don't know. I just love people like putting their hat in the ring with Nuzlocke, and it also carrying into the competitive side of battling. And yeah, I really am looking forward to seeing more. And hey, maybe someone or me will try to do a different version. You know, no, not trying to steal their thunder, but you know, mix it up a little bit and allow for some smaller streamers, or even more, like, you know, just up and coming, like first starting. Because I mean, I barely streamed, and it's like it'd be cool to kind of have that opportunity. But yeah, just kind of spitballing. I think that there's so much good that happened here, and I am excited to see more.